Hello, Chris Richardson here, and I'm running for Congress in the the 6th District of California. That's this little area around here, Gold River, and not quite to Folsom, but all the way over to Roseville and a little bit beyond. Okay. Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about today was stopping our imperialism. I really encourage people to read a little pamphlet called War is a Racket by General Smedley Butler. He wrote it back in the 30s, and it chronicles how he was a thug for Wall Street. How he threw out the legitimate government of Hawaii and turned it over to the doles to administrate. Yeah, that was no problem at all. But right now, we are involved in a number of wars and getting ready to fight some more wars that we shouldn't even be in. But we're manipulating them to get into those wars. Who benefits? How about the military-industrial complex? The folks that make the rockets and the planes and the bombs that we drop on people. You know, the bombings in Gaza are actually being done with our munitions. They're being dropped by Israeli planes on Gaza, but they're American-made bombs. Yep, makes you proud, doesn't it? Okay, well, the Ukraine fiasco, that was more than a decade in the manufacturing of that war. And we ousted the legitimate government and replace it with a corrupt government of fascists. But we love fascists. They're so easy to take care of their own people. They snap them right back into line. You know, who needs rights as a citizen? Also, I want to draw up that I want you to realize that there are no Syrian bombers over our heads. There are no Iranian gunboats outside of our harbors. There are no Venezuelan troops on our southern border. But we're off of their borders, and we're in their airspace, and we're off of their ports. I don't know whether you remember it or not, but in 2019, in the summer, there was a Japanese freighter that was coming out of Iran. It was loaded with oil. They had just bought the oil from the Iranians. And we made up the story that it was an Iranian mine that they hit. Now the damage was like 30 feet above the water line. Mines don't work that way. And at least not marine mines. And what it actually was, when they got back to Japan, they examined what happened, and the remnants of our missile, which was fired by one of our drones in the Mediterranean, was there to punish the Japanese for doing business with Iran. That's what they call restraint of trade. And it's piracy on our part. The thing is that Japan has every right to buy oil from whoever they want. They want to buy it from Iran? Fine. They want to buy it from Russia? Fine. They want to buy it from us? Fine. But we have had things so lopsided in our fantasy of imperialism. You know, for a long time, we've had the petrodollar. Petrodollar meant that if a country needed oil to heat their homes, cook their food, whatever, and they use it for also manufacturing and all kinds of things, you would have to buy American petrodollars, which boosts up our economy. That's wonderful. The only thing is it's a false fantasy. There are other countries now that have petrodollars. Petrodollar situations where you can use their currency to buy oil. The yuan, the Chinese yuan, the ruble, the Russian ruble now will buy oil. And we need to do the same with Venezuela. Some of their oil is incredibly valuable and very rich. It's a very good source for a metal called vanadium. And this is kind of weird, but you find vanadium in oil that is from sea squirts. And sea squirts have the ability to concentrate vanadium out of seawater. About 25,000 times the quantity that's in seawater is concentrated in that blood. And when you make oil out of it, there's actually an industry of people that scrape the soot out of the smokestacks of ships that burn Venezuelan oil. And we have sanctions on them. We don't want the Venezuelans to make any money off of their resource. And all the resources that they have in our banks is frozen. And we've gotten the Brits and the Canadians to do the same. So Venezuela is actually a very wealthy country, but it's a socialist country. So we cannot have a socialist country survive in our hemisphere. You know what? The Venezuelans are bartering with other countries to get their oil. And one such barter is with Cuba. They get single-payer health care through their bartering with Cuba to get Cuban doctors into Venezuela. Isn't that wonderful? And Cuba has all the oil they want. But the thing is that we are sticking our nose into places where it should not be. And we are causing a lot of the starvation and the deprivation and the poverty that is rampant in the world. We are choking it off of people, keeping them from achieving what they need to in order to continue on. And we have done this to them. And it's not a very healthy thing to be doing. Okay, well, now we also want to go to war with China. Well, I think that's not a really good idea. A fighting war with China, we would probably lose. Although they have primarily a blue water navy, we have they have a green water navy, we have a blue water navy, which means that we go out into farther into the ocean than they do. We express ourselves wider than they do. So green water means that they stay pretty close to shore. Blue water means you're way off of shoreline, your property anyway. Russia, we are cruising for a bruising with them, and we're cruising for a bruising with Iran. And they don't have designs on us. They really don't. They just want us to leave them alone. Let them do their business. And what we have are sanctions. And that is stopping people from actually getting things done for their people. And, if we did some of that for our own people, we'd be in a whole lot better situation. Let's see what we can do. Elect me for Congress, and I'm going to stir things up. We got to end our imperialism. It's doing us more damage than you know. And I actually covered this in a previous link, but we'll go over it another time. Alrighty, well, thank you very much for your time, and we will close it up.